How's it going, guys? Welcome back to another edition of the Athletes Hub. Again, it's only myself today. Thought I had to show my face after a disappointing result. Manchester United won, Wolves won. And I don't know what to say. Again, I think those of you who sort of followed our channel over the last few months, I did an actual review, not a review, but I spoke about Ruben Amorim and United after their 1-1 draw against West Ham a few months ago. And I spoke about the team's mentality, their inability to deal with pressure, their inability to take advantage of opportunities, really, to be honest. And I think yesterday's game kind of summed up United's calendar year in a nutshell. You know, lackluster, no willingness to do more, no fight, no spirit, a bit all over the place tactically, not enough quality in certain positions. I think look at the game yesterday. You're looking at a Wolves team who've got 2 points all season. This is a game United have to win. You're talking about beating Newcastle at home. Adjusting tactically, went to 4 at the back. Dorgu was fantastic in that game. It was actually good last night as well. But beating Newcastle at home, and you're thinking you've got Wolverhampton at home next. They've got 2 points all season. Go out there, and I'm saying go all out, 3-4-0, and close out the 2025 with a bit of positivity. I think last night we saw none of that. Like, it was dire last night. And where do we begin? And I don't know. I think last night was the first time I actually sat there and I thought to myself, this project might not work. It might not work because for over a year now, we're still having the same questions marks over the team, over the manager's selections, over his tactical setup, over the mentality of the players, and all the issues we've been speaking about over the last few months are still there, clear as day. And it doesn't seem as if either the manager or the players have got solutions to deal with this, which for me is really disappointing. And again, you're playing a Wolves team at home. They've got 2 points all season. And even in my last video about United, that was prior to the Wolves game at the Molineux away from home, where United won 4-1. And I remember saying United, there was no other option but to win that game, which they did, but Wolves score. And last night was the same. United had to win the game. You're at home, you're against the bottom team in the Premier League who've got no confidence. They can't defend, conceding goals, they can't really score. But they all seem to score against United, right? And I don't know what it is. I don't know what is in the mentality of the players and the manager that every time this team goes 1-0 up, it seems as if 1-0 is a dangerous score, and that is true. That's a saying in football, right? But it feels as if with this United team, it's a fact. Because every time this team scores first, we seem to just sit back and invite pressure. I don't know why that happens. Even the Wolves game away from home a couple of weeks ago, United score, and just before half-time, Wolves equalise. The same thing last night. Xerxes gets a deflection, a fortunate goal, and then they equalise just before half-time. Again, you go back to Forest. United score first, end up drawing 2-2. Score first away at Tottenham, draw 2-2. Score first at home to West Ham, draw 1-1. And again, playing Everton at home, we would have had 10 men and we still couldn't find a solution there. I don't know what it is about the team and about the manager that just can't seem to simplify everything. Just get results, get momentum going. I don't know what it is. It's a strange one. When you analyse it, it's very hard to analyse because I don't know if it's the manager telling the players, when we go 1-0 up, you've got to retreat back into a 5, or you've got to, just sit in and counter-attack. But also, we looked at the Man United game against Bournemouth a few games ago when it was 4-4, and everybody raved about the attacking play, which I felt was the best they've played all season in the attacking sense. But you still concede 4 goals at home to Bournemouth, who are struggling, by the way. Right? But it just seems that against Newcastle, when United scored, it's like in the second half, they're just waiting for Newcastle to score. And again, yet last night as well, against Wolves. United didn't really start particularly great, get the Xerxes goal. And then from that moment onwards, Wolves, I think in between both boxes, Wolves are very good. They control the game, a very good footballing team. If you came in and you didn't know anything about the two teams in terms of league position, you would think that Wolves were mid-table because they're playing really, really well. They're very comfortable in possession. They're creating chances. And United just couldn't get near them. And again, you look at the Newcastle game before that as well, and it's like when Dorgu scored, it's like we're just waiting for Newcastle to score. In the second half, it was all Newcastle, and they probably should have got a result. Last night as well, Wolverhampton, if Lemens, who we'll talk about later, if he doesn't make that double save, they probably go on a score, probably win the game. That tells you everything you need to know about this team at the moment. And it's just confusing. It's confusing. I'm not sure, you can't watch United now and everything's simple. United never do simple. You can't watch United game and feel as if, okay, we've won 3-0 now, clean sheet, everything's done, everything's rosy. That never happens. Something has to happen. United have to concede. There has to be a 4-4 chaos game. There needs to be tactical substitutions that don't really make much sense. There's nothing simple about United right now. And that's really disappointing. Really disappointing. And I'm just thinking to myself, we spoke about the West Ham game a couple of weeks ago and Everton at home, where they had 10 men and United couldn't break them down. There's so many opportunities for United to be comfortably in the top 4 this year, and they've not taken advantage of those opportunities. I don't know, is the manager making it difficult on purpose? Is it the players not being able to adapt to pressure? There's a lot of talk about the injuries as well, which, okay, will play a factor. Bruno's been out. I think Maguire and De Ligt, when they're fit, make a huge difference. And Bumo and Ahmad being at AFCON, for sure. But there's still options on that pitch to get a result last night against Wolves. There's still options on the pitch, or how you set up against Newcastle to make it more of a comfortable game. I'm looking at, at least I grew up during the glory days of watching United, and I was lucky enough to watch a great team for many years. And probably one of my favourite ever games was Man United 7, Roma 1 in the Champions League in 2007. And that game was perfect. From moment one, when Carrick scored, to when Patrice Evra scored to make it 7-1, it was an onslaught. Roma at the time, were a very good Italian team, couldn't cope with United. And that, for me, that's probably my favourite game of all time, because everything was perfect. It was attack, wave after wave after wave, against a very good Roma team, and they couldn't cope. But when you watch United now, it's like United scores to make it 1-0 at home, and then just retreat, which is strange to me. Again, we all raved about Bournemouth game, when they went scored 4 goals, great attacking wise, but again, conceded 4 goals at home. But we didn't see that same attacking intent in the other games against Newcastle and also against Wolves as well. So it's just really, really strange why they just can't seem to take advantage of it, to be honest. But I think to talk about someone to highlight, someone who's actually been a positive, I'd probably say it's Lemens. I think he's been a really good addition to the team. I think, if it wasn't for him, I think United lose quite a few of their games, to be honest. Again, even last night against Wolves, if he doesn't make that double save, then United probably end up losing the game. And again, you look at the Bournemouth result where they could have won the game to make it 5-4, comes up with a really good save at the end to save the points. So I think he's probably been the bright spark in the team. And again, without him in the team, I think United are probably mid-table, to be honest. And yeah, it's just weird. It's weird. I look at the team, and without the goalkeeper coming in, and I think the signings probably this year have been the thing that I've kind of given Amorim a bit of credit. You look at Mbumo, you look at Cunha coming in, obviously Lemens. I think those signings have been a positive in a really bad calendar year for United. And again, if you've got someone like previously like Onana in the team, I think the team's in massive trouble, to be honest. But Lemens is a great goalkeeper. I think he's brought a lot of calmness to the team. He's very composed, does all the basics correctly as well. Just what you need from a goalkeeper. If you've got someone behind you who's erratic, you're not really sure what to expect from him, then I think it makes it quite tricky. But I feel like with Lemens, he's brought that composure to the team. And you probably could criticise him for the Bournemouth game where he conceded from the free kick. Probably his positioning is not quite right. But I think everything else he's actually done really, really well. And, again, brought a lot of calm composure to the team and really, really sort of been a bright spark. But yeah, I think Lemens has been immense this season, and definitely one of the bright sparks. And I think it was definitely needed. When you look at the goalkeeper position and particularly defensively, those were the areas which I thought the club would have sorted out in the summer. But I think bringing in Lemens was a master stroke from the manager, and it's made a massive difference. And again, without him in the team, in between the sticks, I think it's a different story for United, to be honest. So he's probably been the only bright spark. And again, with Cunha and Mbumo, they've definitely elevated the team and they've improved the team in attacking sense. But I think probably the most important positions are, amongst the goalkeepers and the defenders. I think Lemens has been a really, really good signing. I think the club deserve credit for bringing him in because he's definitely been an improvement and kind of reminds me a bit of Edwin van der Sar, actually. A composed goalkeeper, does everything, does the basics correctly. There's no drama around him. Just brings that sense of calm throughout the team. It's just a shame that the rest of the team are just so erratic and just can't seem to be as composed as well. But if I'm looking again at United's 2025, I'm not sure what you guys think, but if I'm judging the club's calendar year from January to now, I think it's been really disappointing. I think it's been majorly disappointing. I'm looking at finishing 15th in the league. I'm looking at the Europa League final where they didn't turn up and also Tottenham Hotspur. I'm looking at Grimsby Town. And I'm also looking at this past month and probably past 2 months, particularly the home games where United could have ended the year in the top 4. I think United being 6th heading into New Year, I think that's a miracle, to be honest. I think that's a miracle because teams around them have not been consistent enough. Look at the points they've dropped against Wolves at home, West Ham at home, Everton at home. If they win those matches, United are easily comfortably in the top 4. But again, it comes back to the mentality and it comes back to just, I don't know what the club, I don't know what these players, what the manager are, I just don't know. Again, yesterday was the first time I sat there and I want Amorim to do well. I think he's a good young coach. I think he's got a good future ahead of him. But there's a question mark as to, is he going to get it right at United? Because you watch some of the matches, you look at some of the decisions that he makes tactically, the substitutions in mid-game, constantly taking off centre-backs, taking off wing-backs. Just it seems as if he's making it a little more complicated. And also, as well, when it comes to, simplifying the game, he spoke about after Newcastle how he went to back 4 and that kind of caught Newcastle off guard, actually. And that was great because it showed that he's willing to adapt. But again, you look at the Bournemouth match, 4-4, you're thinking, why not just carry on? Why not just carry on at particular home? Starting off quick, utilising your attacking players, putting pressure on your opposition teams. Because I think far too often clubs come to United, particularly Old Trafford, and they're comfortable. The teams, again, Everton with 10 men couldn't break them down. They were comfortable throughout the game. West Ham as well were comfortable enough to come back into the game. Wolves yesterday were comfortable, playing decent football, create chances. That's not good enough. That happens too often at United. Clubs are coming here and they're too comfortable. And that's down to the manager. It's down to the players not being able to sustain attacks. It's down to the manager maybe tweaking it when he shouldn't tweak it. So I think there's a lot to think about there. But if I'm looking at United's calendar year, I'm looking at, again, finishing 15th. I'm looking at Grimsby Town, losing to them away from home in the Carabao Cup. I'm looking at, a poor Europa League final. I'm looking at, again, this last few months not taking advantage of home games. And, again, heading into New Year being 6th I think that's a miracle for the club right now, to be fair, because I think it flatters them. I don't think they've been that great. I think everyone raved about the 4-4 game, but in attacking sense, yes. But at the same time, you're still conceding 4 goals at home, right? And that can't happen. It can't happen. You can't win every game 5-4, 6-3, 4-3. At some point, you've got to be able to be, sure in defence and also attacking wise. You have to be able to take teams apart. And this team just doesn't do that. It doesn't feel like you watch United and it's ever simple. There's always something has to happen. Again, bizarre substitutions. Not really sure what to expect from them tactically, how they're going to set up. And I think that's a bit of a worry, to be honest. So yeah, I think there's a lot for Sir Jim Radcliffe to think about. I think he's come out and he said that the team or Amorim needs 3 years to prove that he's a good coach. I'm not sure if that's going to be possible, to be honest. I think in football you're not afforded that amount of time on a regular basis now, and I feel like next year the club have to look at it and ask themselves, what is our long-term goal here? Because you've got a young manager in charge who says he won't quit. But at the same time, if United don't finish in the European spots, particularly the Champions League spots, if they fail to qualify, for the Champions League next season and the season after that, then I think serious questions will be asked because that affects the Glazers and it affects their pocket and it affects the club. It affects how much they're worth. Of course, United are still a massive powerhouse in terms of football club, but this club needs European football. And if he doesn't deliver that, then I feel as if there's going to be major questions there. So if I'm rating United's season or their calendar year actually in 2025, I think it's been a disaster. And I think 6 out of 10, I'd probably say that's probably because they're going to end this year in 6th. But everything else, again, no trophy, disaster last season. We're still asking questions about the identity of the team, tactical setups, substitutions. There's still a lot of question marks over Amorim and this club going forward. And I want them to do well. I want all the managers to do well. But at the same time, you have to be able to see steady progression. There's too many games where we're expecting them to get the job done, but something happens and they end up dropping points and end up losing the game. And you look at the next couple of fixtures, you're looking at Burnley, Leeds, and also an FA Cup begins next month as well. At Brighton, I believe at home. And you're expecting United to win these games, but I don't think that will happen. I don't think United will win those games because on paper, yes. But at the same time, you couldn't really hang your hat on this team to get the job done consistently. And that's the worrying part for me. Because yes, they're in sixth and they're ending the year in sixth, but that doesn't reflect the season at all. I think it's been a bit erratic. It's been all over the place. And there's still a lot of question marks, a lot of trust issues as to whether this team in the long term can really deliver on what they need to deliver. So, yes, it's been a disaster, really, to be honest. But I'm hoping for better things next year. I'm not sure what you guys think, the United fans, in the comments. But again, I think there's a lot for Amorim to think about, a lot for Sir Jim Radcliffe to think about as well. I don't think Sir Jim wants to make a decision where Amorim loses his job because, again, we go back to Ten Hag being given a new contract when he was sacked. They don't want to keep on making blunders when it comes to managerial appointments. So they really want it to work out for Amorim. But the longer this goes on, I think it becomes more and more difficult to really have that vision of, is this going to work out? But at the same time, I don't really blame Amorim, though. And I've said this before. When you're appointing a manager, you know a lot about their background. You know a lot about his, tactical setup, his philosophy. And again, before accepting the job, he would have been given a presentation or an interview, right? And he would have explained, his philosophy, how he sees the game. He would have done a bit of background research about his team at Sporting Lisbon. The formation he plays. He would have spoken about the players he wants to bring in, the type of personnel he wants to bring in, how the team will look in 2-3 years' time. They would have seen all this. So it's not a case where he's appointed now and everything we see now is a surprise. For the fans, yes, because we didn't expect this. But for those who appointed him, they would have been given a timeline, would have been given some sort of direction as to how he will play or how long this will take to get to where it should get to. But at the moment, it feels as if everything's very much stop-start and there's just more questions rather than answers at the moment. I think Cunha has been a bright spark again. I think Mbeumo has been a bright spark. Ahmad, again, both of those, Mbeumo and Ahmad at the African Cup, I think they can't come back quick enough, to be fair. But also I feel as if, De Ligt and Maguire are a massive miss right now. And yeah, I think all the injuries, particularly Mason Mount, who I think did quite well before getting injured, I think just unfortunate all those players are out right now. But again, you've got solutions there for you. You can simplify, you can get results in games. But it just feels as if things are just never simple. It's always complicated and it's just a lot more questions than answers, again, to be honest. But yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comments below. I feel as if this year's been a disaster for United. I feel as if there's been a lot more lows than there have been highs. And I'm hoping that next year will feature a lot more highs. But I'm going to give it a 6 out of 10. And that's purely because they're 6th in the league right now. And it's an improvement compared to last year. But yeah, the next few games, I don't know what to expect, to be honest. Yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comments below. It'd be good to hear from you guys. And I want to say as well, also, Happy New Year to everyone. Hope that next year's, a good year for you all and it brings you a lot of joy and happiness. Thanks for supporting us this year on our channel. Thanks for following us on Instagram and also we're on TikTok now, guys, as well. So we're on TikTok. So follow us on TikTok, interact with us. We love interacting with you guys. We love the comments as well, by the way, so keep them coming. But yeah, thanks for your support because, again, you don't have to do it. You don't have to watch us. You don't have to support and subscribe, but you do. And we appreciate it massively. So myself and Flexx will hopefully be back next year with some more content that we can discuss and debate. But until then, guys, I'll catch you in the next one.